was running pretty terribly yesterday. I had kings versus deuces on king 6 deuce and lost to quads. He turned his one outer. But today, coming down the Harrah's escalator from the parking garage, a guy gave me his slot ticket for 26 cents that I just cashed in. So I think covering the 2 days, I'm about even. Walking through what's probably my favorite casino in Vegas now, Casino Royale, because of how much of a dump it is. The ceilings are incredibly low, it's incredibly dark, it's very loud. You will find the lowest forms of life in Casino Royale. That's why I love it so much. And just as a little extra bonus, not that I'm in Casino Royale still, I'm in Harrah's now. Casino Royale has carpets in the bathroom to catch all the urine that misses the urinals, which I would say is probably like 63% of the urine. Actually, I parked at Harrah's, I walked to Venetian, I met with Trooper, didn't think to take my camera out at all, but on a rare day I had it with me, didn't take it out. He's playing there. I met there for reasons other than poker. I'm on my way back to my car, and I'm gonna go to MGM for the night. But something that happens all the time at MGM I want to talk about is chopping the blinds, which is terrible and should not be a thing. Alright, I needed my hands free to grab some Gatorades, but now I'm back in my car at the Harrah's garage. Anyway, I was talking about chopping. Chopping is so bad. If everyone folds to the small and the big could take their money back. They say they're chopping it, and you move on to the next hand. Button moves, you play the next hand. Some rooms actually you can't do it, which you shouldn't be allowed to do it ever. Everyone who ever chopped in their lives got pressured into it, just like I did. You play home games your whole life when you're a teenager, and of course, you just play every hand. Why would you get together and play and then not play hands? It doesn't make any sense. You go to a casino for the first time you're in the small or the big, and chopping is possible, and they say, oh, you don't chop, you want to chop this one? You get pressured into it because everyone else is doing it and no one stands up for you, the fact that you want to play. That's really rare. We actually had a guy at Mandalay the other night from England. He didn't know what it was. It folded to the small. The woman said, you want to chop? He said, I don't know what that is. She said, well, everyone else folded, so we just take our money back and move on to the next hand. And he said, no way, play it. Which is what everybody should say. It's just so arbitrary. It's not like every other hand besides small blind versus big blind is a 6-way all-in that fascinates the entire room. Nothing close to that happens. There are hands where 4 people limp and no one else ever bets, and the hand was pretty much a waste of time. Meanwhile, there are hands that are small blind versus big blind that result in all-ins. Like, you're allowed to raise. There were these guys at Bally's the other day who didn't know you couldn't chop at Bally's anymore. It's fairly new. And one of them says, well, why are you just wasting our time? I'm going to call, he's going to check, we're both going to check the flop, the turn, and the river, and it's just a waste of time. Just let us chop. It's like it's in their heads that they can't possibly raise or re-raise or go all in or do anything like that. They were trying to explain to us why it was such a terrible rule that the only thing it could possibly do is waste time, because they're not even thinking that raising is a possibility anymore, blind versus blind, because they've been chopping their whole lives because they were pressured into it the first time they were in a casino, and now that's all they've been doing for the last 10 years. I had to say, you know, you guys are allowed to, like, raise. You could raise. He could go all in. We could actually play a hand here. And then that triggered the dealer into saying, yeah, guys, we're trying to encourage you to actually play hands, not do the opposite. So chopping is terrible. I know in Council Bluffs, I am one of 3 people who does not chop. It's incredibly rare there. You know, I don't keep track around here. It's a ton of people who don't. Usually the only times people will not chop is if they want to see a run out for high hand possibilities. That, by the way, is the biggest waste of time that poker has ever seen. Running out high hand possibilities in the hopes that, you know, your 3-4 is going to somehow hit a straight flush and you're going to get paid a bonus. People in Council Bluffs, when I stopped chopping, they told me, oh, this is a waste of time. You shouldn't be doing this. We should just be chopping. No, the waste of time is, you know, the 500 times I've seen the blinds run out the board in the hopes of hitting a high hand for like $100 that never ever happened while I was at the table. That's a waste of time. So I hate chopping. It's good that because of promos, casinos are stopping it, because old people who get there at the crack of dawn would just sit there and gladly not play hands to accumulate their time, and just they don't really care about the poker, they care about the time, because a lot of promos are time based. So they would just literally never play a hand. So I know South Point, I know Bally's, pretty sure Orleans, although I've only played there I think 16 minutes this year and 0 last year. I think those don't let you chop. I know Aria, Bellagio, MGM still does. MGM is odd with all their promos. You would think for the same reasons as Bally's and South Point they would stop it, but they still do. They still do allow it. So I hate it. If you're new to poker, of course in your home games you don't know what chopping is, you don't do it. When you get to the casino, if I'm not there, because I'm the only one who supports it, as soon as a new player in the small blind throws in money to continue playing blind versus blind, and then the big blind after the fact says, oh, you don't know what chopping is, you don't want to chop it, I'm usually very quick to defend the guy who actually came to the casino to play hands, as bizarre as that might sound to people around here. I defend them and say he threw the money in. Clearly he wants to play based on his actions. Stop asking him more questions about this. And a lot of times they get bullied into it anyway, into chopping. But anyone new into poker, you definitely do not chop in your home games. You don't need to chop in casinos, despite how mad the elderly population at the table gets. If you want to play hands, you're definitely allowed to play hands.